At one point, Bethesda truly had an aura built around them that every other game studio would be envious of. Having multiple massive IPs, a loyal fan base, and a track record of prior success, Bethesda used to come out with experiences that would redefine what interactive and detailed open world games could be, but in recent years, something has really changed. So if you ended up enjoying this video, please let me know in the comments and subscribe to see more in the future. From Morrowind to Oblivion to Skyrim, Bethesda was a powerhouse, and that alone was an amazing run, but when you throw in Fallout and take into account their success, it becomes even crazier. They created iconic games that redefined what an open world game could be to certain players, especially for those who liked handcrafted content with their own story and RPG mechanics. Their games raised the bar for open world exploration and storytelling, and when Skyrim dropped, it was a phenomenon. Skyrim has sold more than 60 million copies over the past 13 years, and it's no wonder that they've taken their time with The Elder Scrolls 6, considering it's been a sales juggernaut, alongside Fallout 4, which has sold roughly 25 million copies. Fallout 4 was able to propel them forward even more as it was successful from the start, but this would be the last time for them as Fallout 76 and Starfield would redefine Bethesda going forward. And to think of Bethesda as a true giant in the industry, it was a studio that could do no wrong, but now they're on the hot seat as their players are as divided as ever about the future of their titles. So we have to address Todd Howard and Emil Pagliarulo, two of the most recognizable faces at Bethesda, and they've been with the company for over 20 years now. There's been some skepticism that has come in, and fans are really scared for the future at this point, since they have been asked about the backlash for Starfield, and they just seem to deflect a lot when it's brought up. Emil even said that players are disconnected from how games are actually made, and to not fool themselves into thinking they know why it is the way it is. Which in my opinion is just a lame excuse, and it's implying that you're not allowed to have an opinion on a game just because people worked hard on it. Not to mention that we're over a year in and neither Todd or Emil have addressed the core issues of Starfield, which is having players see the exact same 1,000 useless boring planets to walk aimlessly on towards the same useless boring points of interest until they get bored and go play something else. And at this point, I really only see them working on the next and most likely last DLC, Starborn, and then shifting for a full focus on The Elder Scrolls 6. And considering how much of a failure Shattered Space was, I'd honestly just hope that they move on and don't even make any extra DLCs for Starfield. So Starfield was just another mess of issues. It had barely any new enemies, barely any new weapons, some new armor sets, and a world that I guess was handcrafted but sure didn't feel like it. But as for Fallout 76, do I even need to say anything about its release? It had no NPCs at first, and the only story was through holotapes that you found throughout the world, and I just recommend that you go watch Internet Historian's video on it to get a better idea of how it first released. And to be fair, it is a successful game now, but it really hurt their reputation, and I don't know if they've come back from it. Now, I'm not only here to bash Bethesda and say that their games suck, because they're genuinely my favorite video game studio, and I just think they deserve plenty of criticism over their more recent titles. Can we get back to the days where we had the run of Fallout 3 to New Vegas to Fallout 4? Even though I know that Fallout 4 still had some controversy, it was nothing on the level of what there is today. Fallout 76 wasn't even a small misstep as it was released, it was a full-blown disaster, and it took years to rectify. This was just the start of where Bethesda's PR really started to take a huge hit, and players started to have questions on how their titles would be going forward. And after Fallout 76, fans really looked to Bethesda's next big project to hopefully fill the void of what they wanted. For years we would hear about this game from Bethesda, and it was always touted as the next big thing. The game that would take us into space and essentially give us Skyrim in space. But when Starfield finally launched, it wasn't Skyrim in space. It was shit in space. It contained multiple quote-unquote open worlds that didn't feel open at all when you could just hop to the next planet and see the exact same thing that you saw last time. Their settlement system is half-baked at best, and their big rover vehicle means that you just get to drive to the copy and paste points of interest even quicker. I remember when the rover came out and I was looking at the subreddit and how pumped everyone was, and I was really excited that Starfield just had some sort of new content. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, this doesn't fix any of the core issues. It just means that you get to drive around and do the same thing and get to those point of interest quicker to just stand around and look at them. I wanted to like this game so bad when it came out, but I quickly realized that it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And again, I understand that I'm being really negative in this video, but it's because Bethesda is my favorite game studio without a doubt, and it sucks to see your favorite studio constantly dropping the ball and leaving questions for their future titles and not really addressing them for the fans. So, with all of this said, we have to ask, what does this actually mean for The Elder Scrolls 6? Bethesda has kept us waiting for a while now, considering they released that trailer back in 2018, so it's been 6 years since they announced it. And at this point, I don't expect to see the game for another 2 to 3 years at best. Because realistically, after Starfield released, they probably had about a quarter of the team that was originally working on it to work on the DLC and bug fixes, and most likely moved the majority of the team to work on The Elder Scrolls 6. So we can assume they've been working on the game for at least 2 years now in pre-production at the very least. So we're looking at a solid 2 to 4 years before that game's even released, and it was announced 6 years ago. I am definitely worried for this game. I'm worried that the Bethesda team hasn't taken into consideration all of the flack they've gotten, and have just kind of put on earplugs and said that the fans don't know what they're talking about, we do because we've had prior success, let's just make a game that we think they'll want. They've mentioned that Starfield is for a very specific type of player, and they wanted to try something new and fresh. So if Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't live up to expectations, that could actually be the final blow to Bethesda's reputation, leaving them into the category of the has-been developers. We want a handcrafted world, a meaningful story, engaging side quests, new and improved combat, and another game that we can sink thousands and thousands of hours into. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and do you think Bethesda can make a comeback with The Elder Scrolls 6, or are their best days behind them at this point? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more gaming content. I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out.